Single mom's heartbreaking checkout rejection. Wait until the CEO's epic response at 3 p.m. It was a scene that would send chills down anyone's spine. The fluorescent lights flickered ominously above the bustling grocery store, casting elongated shadows across the linoleum floor. A single mother stood at the checkout, her shopping cart brimming with essentials: milk, bread, and a handful of treats for her kids. But as the cashier scanned item after item, a cold wave of dread rolled over the crowd. The total echoed like a death knell as she dug into her pockets, her heart racing. It wasn't enough. The gasps around her felt like an electric jolt. Faces turned, eyes widened, murmurs of disbelief rippled through the queue like the start of a tidal wave. "Can you believe this?" a woman whispered to her friend, both watching, anchoring in their shock. The atmosphere thickened, holding its breath as reality crashed down around her. Her chest tightened, as if an unseen hand was closing around her heart. This was no ordinary checkout failure, it was a spectacle of despair, and then, from nowhere, came a deep, rich voice slicing through the tension. A commanding presence emerged from the back of the store. The CEO of the grocery chain, a renowned figure known for his outlandish generosity, had entered the scene. He peered at the chaotic tableau with keen eyes, a mix of curiosity and concern crossing his features. This was the moment the store had never expected. He was supposed to be in an important meeting, somewhere deep in corporate strategy, yet here he was, pulled into this heart-wrenching drama. What would he do? He nodded slowly, raising a hand to silence the whispers that had grown cacophonous around them. The crowd leaned in, hearts fluttering like frightened birds. Was he going to offer assistance? A wave of hope sprinkled through the anxious faces, a desperate yearning that somehow, things would turn bright again. But as he approached the mother, the clock ticked ever closer to 3 p.m., and the room held its breath. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." The CEO's intense gaze locked onto the mother's tear-filled eyes. Seconds stretched into eternity, and without a word, he reached into his pocket, pulling out his wallet. The crowd gasped in unison, the tension thick as honey in the air. Would her fate turn on this pivotal moment? Would kindness or corporate power prevail? With every heartbeat, questions churned. What had this mother endured to get here? And maybe more importantly, what would this day hold after 3 p.m.? The crowd held its collective breath as the CEO pulled out a crisp bill, holding it aloft like a trophy. He stepped forward, his voice booming, "This is on me." Relief washed over the mother's face, the weight on her shoulders easing just a fraction. The murmurs turned to whispers of gratitude and disbelief. The cashier blinked, frozen by the unexpected generosity unfolding before her. But just as the tension seemed to break, a shadow flickered across the room. A man in a dark suit, clearly out of place in this grocery haven, pushed his way to the front. His eyes were cold, piercing through the warmth of the moment. "Wait a moment!" he shouted, commanding everyone's attention. The atmosphere shifted again, like a filter darkening a sunny day. "Who are you?" the CEO asked, brow furrowing in confusion. "I'm from the corporate office," the stranger sneered, leaning in. "And I can assure you, this is against company policy. You can't just give away money without authorization." His voice dripped with disdain, and the warmth that had momentarily enveloped the store was replaced with discomfort. The crowd shifted uneasily, eyes darting between the showdown and the mother, whose hope was quickly dissolving into confusion. She stood frozen, still clutching her sparse goods, the panic in her chest bubbling to the surface. Would kindness succumb to corporate rules? The CEO narrowed his eyes. "This isn't just a transaction, it's about humanity. This mother deserves some compassion. His voice rose, resonating with fierce determination. It echoed through the aisles, drawing the rapt attention of shoppers who had been mere spectators moments ago. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A murmur of defiance began to swell. The suited man huffed, crossing his arms. "You're risking the company's reputation for a PR stunt. Go ahead, I'll report this. We can't just change our entire policy because of one incident." Around them, whispers circulated. Some people shook their heads in disbelief, while others shifted closer, eager to witness the drama unfold. One woman in the back raised her phone, the camera poised to catch every second, as if she sensed this conflict might be bigger than just a grocery store incident, and just as doubts crept back into the mother's mind, a soft voice cut through the chaos. "Mom." Her little boy, no more than 7, appeared at her side, concern etched across his innocent face. "Are we going to be okay?" The mother's heart shattered. How could she answer that? She turned to the CEO, who stood there, unwavering, still determined. Her son was watching, and in that moment, she realized it wasn't just about a checkout, it was about hope, about showing her children that even when times were tough, kindness could prevail. With a shaky breath, she grasped her son's small hand tightly. "We'll be okay," she whispered, half pleading, half affirming. The CEO flashed a quick glance at the boy, his expression softening. "Together we can make it okay," he declared, loud enough for all to hear. "I'll take care of this. Standing up for someone in need is what we should always strive for." But before the scene could escalate, upon which everything hinged, the clock struck 3 p.m. A loud ring echoed through the store, filling the air with urgency. "What's that?" The suited man barked, glancing defensively toward the source of the sound. "Something's not right," the cashier murmured, her eyes widening in panic. And just like that, all eyes shifted, curiosity igniting the air and suspicions spiraling uncontrollably. What exactly would happen next, and who would be caught in the crossfire of corporate greed and human decency? A ripple of uncertainty lingered as the atmosphere thickened once more, calling for an answer. What was unfolding just below the surface of this grocery store drama? The whispers of discontent were merely the beginning. The silence that followed the ringing was thick, almost suffocating. The bright fluorescent lights above flickered momentarily, casting eerie shadows on the faces of the stunned shoppers. Eyes widened, breath caught. Somewhere, an infant started to whimper, the sound echoing in the sudden stillness. "What is that?" the cashier asked again, her voice barely a whisper, heavy with dread. She scanned the store, desperately seeking answers but finding none. The suited man shook his head, a grimace twisting his features, as if the very sound of that bell was a harbinger of doom. "Everyone stay calm," the CEO boomed, injecting urgency into the atmosphere. "It might just be an alarm. Let's not jump to conclusions." His words sought to restore order, but the quaver in his voice hinted at his own uncertainty. "Calm? How can we stay calm?" a distraught customer shouted. "What if it's a robbery?" Fear rippled through the crowd. People murmured, shifting from foot to foot, clinging to their carts like shields. The atmosphere, which had just moments earlier been filled with hope and compassion, now simmered with panic and anxiety. The mother, still holding her son's hand tightly, turned to scan the crowd and felt her heart race. She could see the unease etched on every face around her. "It's gonna be okay," she repeated to her boy, though the doubt slipped into her words like poison. Then, with a sudden burst of noise, the intercom crackled to life, static buzzing in the tension-filled air. "Attention, shoppers," a voice announced, steady yet robotic. "Please evacuate the store immediately. I repeat, evacuate the store immediately." Gasps erupted. Some people started to move, grabbing children and trying to herd their families toward the exits, but the aisles quickly became a mob. The chaos exploded. Shopping carts collided, small children cried, and the desperation to escape flooded every corner of the store. "What's happening?" the mother asked, her voice shaky as she felt her son squeeze her hand tighter. It's just an emergency drill, the CEO shouted over the din, but the grit in his voice didn't mask the worry creeping onto his face. No need to panic. We have everything under control. No control. There's no control. The suited man yelled, his voice rising above the cacophony. He was backing away now, lips pursed with fear. We need to get out. This isn't drill. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, and the unmistakable sound of a siren pierced through the noise, sending a chill down everyone's spine. It echoed a warning, raising every nerve. Panic surged through the crowd, some people fell to their knees, while others fought their way toward the exits. Follow me. The CEO shouted, trying to lead the frantic wave of shoppers toward safety, his heart pounding. But as they stumbled towards the exits, the door automatically locked with a dull thud that reverberated through the store. The sound was ominous, a barrier solidifying against their escape. An echo of a collective gasp filled the air as the mother's stomach dropped. What were they up against? And who had locked them in? The suited man turned, his expression now a mix of frustration and realization. This isn't just a policy violation, it's something more dangerous. What do you mean? The mother gasped, her mind racing. But before he could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows at the back of the store, cloaked in darkness, grinning sinisterly. The crowd gasped again, dread rippling through them like a chilling breeze. It had only begun to feel like a fight between the heart and the corporate machine. But now, with an unknown adversary looming, the stakes were about to escalate dramatically. What did this person want, and how far were they willing to go to get it? The tension hung thick, shrouding the air in fear as the true nightmare began to unfold. The figure stepped forward, its features hidden under a hood, but the malicious smile was unmistakable. A shiver ran through the crowd, a tangible wave of dread as if the very air had transformed into ice. Welcome, shoppers, the voice was smooth, dripping with mockery. You've all been chosen for something very special today. Special? The CEO echoed incredulously, eyes darting around the store. What are you talking about? Chosen, the figure continued, voice rising, laced with venom. To participate in a little game. The word hung in the air, warped and twisted, drawing in gasps of horror. My son, the mother whimpered, tightening her grip on her child. What do you mean a game? Oh, you'll see. The figure chuckled, the sound rich with sadistic delight. First, you answer a question, something simple. If you get it wrong, a long pause followed, as if they were savoring the fear they de-instigated. Let us not dwell on that, shall we? A woman clutched her husband's arm, eyes wide and unblinking. No, this can't be happening, she stumbled backwards, crashing into a shopping cart. Stay together. The CEO shouted fiercely, stepping forward. You don't need to listen to this person. We'll find a way out. No, no, no. The cloaked figure raised a hand, voice slicing through the ensuing panic. They're not listening. You're going to play, or else, well, you can imagine what will happen. The laughter that followed was chilling, echoing in the vast space of the store. People began to pull away from the figure, the fear transforming into a desperate need to escape the tightening circle. We can't let them take us. Someone screamed from the back, suddenly realizing the depth of their situation. The suited man took a step back, heart racing faster as dread washed over him. This isn't just about the store anymore, we're trapped, and we have no idea what this person is capable of. What do you want? The mother shouted, voice breaking. Just let us go. The time for questions will come after the game. It's only fair, the figure replied, glee woven into every word. But for now, answer me this: what is the most precious thing you would sacrifice to get out of here? The crowd went silent, processing the weight of the question. A few faces turned pallid, crumpling under the fear of what lay ahead. Don't answer. Snapped the CEO, brimming with anger. We can't play along. We shouldn't feed into their sick game. Yet the figure merely chuckled, and their gaze moved across the terrified audience, as if savoring each face. "Oh, but you must. The clock is ticking." Chimes started ringing softly, a countdown embedded within the walls. 1 minute, then 2. The air grew heavier, thick with the urgency of time slipping away. The mother felt her son tremble beside her, the weight of his small hand clutching hers. "Hold on tight," she whispered, smoothing her palm over his knuckles. Around them, murmurs spread like wildfire, the realization of fear igniting despair. "Who will go first?" the figure asked, and the energy shifted, panic bubbling back to the surface like an outrunning tide of chaos and confusion. As they huddled together, a single thought raced through the mother's mind: what had they gotten into? Questions swirled around as each person became acutely aware of their vulnerability. The moment hung there, heavy with the unknown, darkness creeping in. The cloaked figure leaned closer, scrutinizing their expressions like a predator sizing up the hunt, and then a sinister grin spread wider. Let the games begin, but what would they reveal about the depths of their desperation? What sacrifices would the shopkeepers and shoppers be willing to make in these dire circumstances? The air buzzed with uncertainty and fear as all eyes swung back to the figure, a palpable tension wrapping around the crowd like a noose. Whispers cut through the silence, each person hoping to find a way out. One woman, barely holding it together, clutched her purse like a lifeline, panic flickering in her wide eyes. "I can't do this," she cried out, voice wavering. "What's the answer? Just tell us." But the figure reveled in their distress, leaning back slightly, as if savoring their dread. "Oh, but that's the beauty, isn't it? It's not just about the right answer. It's about what you're willing to give up. I need a volunteer, someone willing to play for the rest." The CEO moved forward, an air of authority amid chaos. "This isn't a game. You can't just toy with people's lives like this." His voice shook, yet held an unmistakable edge of defiance. "Isn't that precisely what you do?" the cloaked figure replied, stepping closer, their voice dripping with sardonic amusement. "Every day, you make decisions that impact people's lives, don't you? This is your chance to truly understand the weight of sacrifice." Around him, mothers, fathers, friends, and strangers exchanged side glances laden with fear and realization. The proposals didn't just threaten their lives, they held a mirror to the nature of their choices and their consequences. One older man stepped forward, his hands trembling. "What can we give?" His voice was shaky, raw. "What do you want? Money? Just let us go." "Ah, money means nothing here," the figure said, a low chuckle echoing through the store. "I want something personal. Something you can't easily replace." The crowd shifted uneasily. They squirmed, visibly wrestling with the enormity of the figure's demand. "Your most treasured possession, or a secret you've held close," the figure elaborated slowly, and the words sank into the atmosphere like a stone. "What would you give up for the chance to walk out of here?" The mother with her son felt the knot in her stomach tighten. What did she value most? The image of her son flashed in her mind. Life without him wasn't life at all. A relentless ache settled in her chest. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice cracking. "I won't let you take anything from us." Suddenly, the lights flickered ominously. As if in response, the figure clapped their hands, and the countdown grew louder. Only 2 minutes left. Who will step up? Who will put their life on the line for their loved ones? Heavy realization creeped into the minds of everyone present. Creating excuses in their heads at lightning speed, but beneath it all, fear began to morph into desperation. I can give you my job," the father yelled, trying to distract from the weight of sacrifice. "Too trivial," the figure replied casually. "Think deeper. I want a part of you, something that defines you. A fragment of your soul. Who will be brave enough to claim their way out?" A hush fell over the crowd, only broken by the frantic heartbeat of the clock, as they looked to one another for strength. People eyed each other, searching for resolve, searching for someone to step up. The CEO felt a chill wash over him. This was no ordinary threat. Something about the figure held a dark pattern, an undeniable control over every heart in that room. 15 seconds. The hooded figure crooned, relishing the panic around them. He knew time was running out. The moment felt surreal, as if they were caught in a twisted reality show. And when the clock struck 0, a loud buzz cut through the air. Too late. The figure laughed, sending a shiver down everyone's spines. Let us find out just how far you're willing to go to escape. Fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy ride. And just like that, without warning, the thrumming lights shut off, plunging the store into an oppressive darkness. What would emerge from this twisted game? What sacrifices lay in waiting, and who would end up paying the price? The darkness closed in around them, thick and suffocating. The silence was maddening, stretching across the vast floor like a blanket, wrapping the terrified crowd in a cocoon of uncertainty. Each heartbeat reverberated in their chests, quickening with every passing second. Then came a flicker. A single light surfaced, casting a ghostly beam through the gloom. It was the figure, now illuminated in a flash of cold brilliance, standing defiantly in the center of the room. The hood had slipped, revealing a sharply defined jawline and glacial blue eyes that seemed to pierce right through their collective dread. "Are you ready for the first sacrifice?" the figure asked, voice smooth and unyielding. The words slithered through the air, filling the room with an uneasy anticipation. There were gasps, whispers, a cacophony of disbelief. People shuffled, feeling exposed under the gaze of the figure. The mother with her child clutched him tighter, feeling the warmth of his small body against hers, a reassurance in the storm of fear brewing around them. "I don't want to play," one young man shouted, his voice cracking. "This isn't fair. You think fairness matters here?" The figure countered, a smile twisting their lips. "Life rarely hands you a fair chance, does it? You either adapt, or you get left behind." Just then, the lights blared back to life, revealing a soundstage-like setup with a table at the center. It was surrounded by dark, sleek furniture that gave the illusion of an opulent gathering gone wrong. On the table were numerous items: a vintage watch, a stuffed animal, a locket that glimmered feebly in the harsh light, and a single chair set away from the rest. "Each of you will present your sacrifice here, or you will begin to lose something far more precious," the figure declared, eyes dancing with malice. "What do you mean?" whispered the old man from earlier, his body trembling with age and fear. The cloaked figure gestured towards the crowd, making eye contact with individuals, as if hunting for prey. "Each second that passes means something personal will be ripped from you: the memories, the love, the connections with those you hold dear. I suggest you decide quickly. This isn't just a game. It's about who you truly are, or who you thought you were." The mob reacted like a living organism, pulses racing in a frantic rhythm. Some began to edge closer to the table, fear to desperation in their eyes. "I'll do it!" a woman cried out, voice breaking. She pushed forward, her hands trembling as she reached for the stuffed animal. It was her daughter's, a gift from years ago when they had nothing. "But if I give this up, you must promise everyone can leave." The figure took a step back, bemusement flickering across their features. "Your sacrifice is commendable, but the rules aren't negotiable. This game requires something deeper, a piece of you that isn't so easily cut away." The woman's breath hitched, an emotional war raging inside her. Just behind her, other voices grew louder. "I can give my locket," shouted another, heart racing. "Take it. It has nothing to do with who I am." "No," the mother cried. "Don't. You don't know what you're doing. It's not just an object." The unyielding gaze of the figure sparked a new fire of conflict. With each moment, the stakes escalated, turmoil swirling through everyone. Suddenly, the lights flickered ominously again, casting shadows on faces turned towards the figure in dread. The clock was ticking once more. Time was running short. There's little time left to make your decisions, the figure's voice echoed, taunting them. As panic flared anew, a scream broke the tension. A child no older than 6 looked up to his mother, fear evident in his eyes. "Mommy, I don't want to lose you." The room fell silent. Every heartbeat became a countdown, every second weighed heavy with potential ruin. Who would act first, and at what cost? With darkness gathering once more around their fates, the moment was ripe for the unexpected. Would the mother break and reveal her deepest wish to save her son? Or would someone else step forward? Ready to face the haunting unknown, the figure smiled, as if they could see the thoughts racing. "Welcome to the real game. Let us see how deep love can go." The air quivered with anxiety, a thick, barely breathable fog settling over the crowd as all eyes turned towards the figure again. In that charged silence, time itself seemed to hold its breath. Every soul present felt the weight of their impending decisions crushing down upon them. The mother's grasp on her son tightened, a desperate bid to keep him anchored in the safety of her love. "What if we just run?" whispered someone near the back, a flicker of rebellion bursting forth. But even that defiance was swallowed by the figure's chilling laughter. "Run." The figure tilted their head, amusement dancing in those icy blue eyes. "Where will you go? The outside world doesn't exist for you anymore, only here and now. Choices must be made or else." A shudder raced through the crowd, an unspoken terror weaving through thoughts. They understood as if on cue. No one could escape this twisted venue without consequences. A pit opened in the mother's stomach, realization washing over her like ice water. With every tick of the clock, more than just items would be lost. They were playing with their existence. "Mommy." The boy's plaintive whimper shattered the tension, a piercing arrow shot straight through her heart. She knelt to his level, bringing herself face to face with the innocence behind his eyes. "I don't want you to go away. I don't want anything bad to happen." "Shoo, baby," she soothed, brushing a stray hair from his forehead. "I won't let anything happen to you. I promise." But her own resolve was wilting beneath the glare of the figure before them. "Time's running out." The figure's voice rose, edging towards ecstatic. "We could observe the wonders of your love or watch the bounds of your will perish in despair. It's all up to you." From the back, a young woman stumbled ahead, sweat beading on her brow. "I'll go," she cried, desperation etched across her features, like a moth drawn to a flame. "I'll give my painting, it's just a thing. Please, just let us leave." Laughter erupted again, harsh and slicing. "Another object? How quaint." The figure sneered. "You think you can barter with mere items? Sacrifices aren't toys, darling. What you give must hold meaning. Something so ingrained in your core that it stings to part with it." Gasps erupted. Whispers of indecision ignited chaos as fear clawed at each individual. The clock ticked louder, each sound synchronizing with the frantic palpitations of heartbeats. More voices ventured into the fray, arguments erupting should they risk it all or hold on to their precious attachments. "Everyone stay calm," shouted a wide-eyed man, his voice cracking as everyone turned their gaze towards him. "We can't let this thing dictate who we are. What if we all give something useful but not fundamental? Then what do we lose next?" Snapped an elderly woman. "A kidney? A dream? Maybe your soul?" The figure's face transformed into a mask of intrigue. Now. This is becoming more entertaining by the second. But the decision remains on you. What are you willing to lose for the sake of others? Time is nearly up." With fear packing her throat tight, the mother looked down at her son, who shook his head in silent protest. A fleeting thought flickered through her mind. Should she reveal her innermost truth? Was it worth the risk? As energy spiraled like a tornado around them, she raised her hand, trembling. I'll sacrifice my memories of joy. It will be my choice. Just let my child live. The crowd gasped, shockwaves vibrating through them. The figure's eyes widened, a glimmer of excitement crossing their face. Now we're talking. But is that truly what you want, dear? No. Stop. Came a chorus of objections. The underlying panic became palpable, as shoulders slumped in disbelief. Who else will step up? The figure taunted, darkness swirling around them like a storm. Or will you all watch her slowly unravel into nothingness? A silence hung, the gravity of the moment pressing down. With hearts racing, they were on the edge of an abyss, and it seemed the darkness was more enticing than fear could allow, then, without warning, a loud crash echoed through the room, shaking the structure to its core. The crowd froze, breath held, and the figure's smile flickered. What had just broken, and what chaos lay ahead? Lights flickered again, and as the uncertainty thickened, the air crackled with an impending revelation. The chaotic rumble of the crash hung in the air like an uninvited guest. Without warning, the lights above flickered and dimmed, casting eerie shadows across the faces of the terrified crowd. It was as if the very walls of the venue were trembling, caught in an unseen struggle. What was that? The question pierced the thick tension, a voice rising from the mass of fear-stricken souls. Eyes darted nervously, uncertainty clinging to them like a fog. The figure shifted, momentarily distracted by the chaotic noise, their amusement waning. In that brief instant, hope flickered in the crowd like a dying flame. Could this be their chance? Could whatever had caused the crash be their salvation? Don't think you can escape so easily. The figure shot back, eyes narrowing, returning to their earlier grandeur. But for a split second, a crack in their icy demeanor appeared, revealing a hint of vulnerability. The mother clung to her son, heart racing. She could feel the warmth of him beside her, breathing, alive. Please let it be something good, she murmured into his hair, trembling fingers digging into his shoulder. She turned her gaze toward the crowd. We can't give up hope now. The young woman who had offered the painting earlier pressed forward again, fervor igniting her features. This is our chance. We need to show that we won't play this twisted game anymore. Then suddenly, another crash resounded, but this time, the source became clear. From the shadows emerged a small figure, a child with wild hair and wide, defiant eyes. The boy stumbled forward, clutching what looked like a makeshift weapon, a metal rod glinting ominously in the dark light. Leave my mommy alone! He shouted, voice piercing through the stillness. Gasps erupted. The crowd recoiled as if they had witnessed a ghost, fear and admiration mingled in the depths of their expressions. Brave little thing! But how foolish! The figure laughed, a sound like nails on a chalkboard. You think your reliance on love can save you from darkness? How adorable! But I must warn you, nothing can stand against me. The mother's heart thudded. No. You mustn't. He is just a child. She cried out, adrenaline surging. But the boy, fueled by pure instinct and protection, stood firm, eyes blazing with fierce determination. Together, we can take a stand. The young woman urged the crowd, her voice rallying the weary hearts surrounding her. We don't need to lose anything. We can find strength in what we have. The figure's amusement faded, replaced by irritation as the crowd began to stir, a ripple of whispered solidarity blossoming. What if they turned the sacrifices back on the figure? What if they stood together, refusing to be pawns in this dark game? Time is running out. The figure barked again, tension lining their features. Witness what becomes of those who defy before they could finish. Another crash erupted from the back, this time sending a wave of startled inquiries through the crowd. An older man took a step forward, a protective stance forming around the brave child and the mother. We will not be broken. He shouted. If we all stand together. Together they surged forward, hands grasping for each other, a united front against the terror that loomed above them. The figure recoiled, darkness swirling around them in a furious tempest. Very well, let us play then. Let us see how deep the roots of your love go when faced with true despair. With that, the lights dimmed further, plunging the room into half-darkness, where shadows danced menacingly. And in that unsettling moment, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble, and the cries of despair shifted to something more, something deeper. "Hold on!" the mother shouted, eyes locked on her son. But what awaited them in the depths of that darkness? As the shadows grew thicker, an unearthly roar filled the air, signaling the next wave of terror approaching. What could emerge next? And would they survive whatever horror was about to unfold? The room shook violently, and the crowd clutched at one another, eyes wide with terror. The child's cry echoed in the tumult, a tiny beacon cutting through the chaos. Shadows flickered and swelled, as if alive with malevolent intent, consuming the light and twisting it into dread. "Stay close," the mother urged, pulling her son to her side, feeling the steady thump of his heart against her. Every instinct screamed at her to protect him. Fear gnawed at her stomach like a hungry beast. The figure's laughter rose, slicing through the waves of panic. "You wish to defy me? Fine. But be warned, darkness is more than a mere shadow." With a wave of their hand, the shadows surged forward, thickening. A chill filled the air as the crowd pushed together, forming a trembling barricade against their tormentor. The young woman, still gripped by fervor, stepped forward. "We don't fear you. Our strength lies in one another." Her voice trembled slightly but carried a fierce conviction that sparked flickers of hope in the eyes around her. "Strength? Ha! Pathetic." The figure howled, eyes narrowing viciously. "Let me show you what true despair means." Suddenly, the ground cracked, and from beneath erupted ghastly figures, twisted forms that seemed to embody nightmares. They surged through the crowd, shrieks of anguish rising like smoke. The crowd recoiled, fresh terror painting their faces. "Run! Fight back!" An older man shouted, his voice straining above the chaos, yet filled with raw courage. As if ignited by his bravery, others rallied. Hands clasped together, they pushed forward, refusing to be devoured by despair. The boy raised his metal rod higher, emboldened by his mother's fierce grip at his side. "We're not afraid. You can't take us." His voice, though small, rang true, a rallying cry that resonated through the fear-laden air. "I admire your resilience," the figure said, lips curled into a sinister grin. "But it is your very love that will lead to your downfall." With a flick of their wrist, the spectral figures lunged, seeking flesh and fear. In shock, the mother felt icy fingers brush her shoulder. Gritting her teeth, she squared her shoulders. They'd come too far to falter now. "Together," she shouted, locking eyes with others. "Together, we can't fall." Light surged slightly in the midst of their unity, a tiny glow born from desperation. It flickered and pulsed with the rhythm of their courage. One by one, the crowd drew on this flicker, a collective spark igniting hope in the chaos. The figure hissed, anger building in their eyes. "You're making a grave mistake. Your bonds will lead to suffering far beyond your imagination." "Maybe," the young woman interjected fiercely, "but this is our suffering to endure. We're not yours to toy with." Her unwavering tone cut through the din. If in response, the ground trembled again, threatening to split further. Yet, the crowd now emboldened formed a protective circle around the boy and mother, united against the inexorable tide of darkness. They moved together as one entity, shifting slowly but surely toward the figure. "Such naive hope," the figure mused darkly, a twisted grin grotesquely stretching across their face. "You shall witness horrors unseen. For the shadows crave what you hold dear." With that proclamation, the spectral figures converged with renewed fury, sharp teeth gnashing and claws outstretched as darkness cloaked the room once more. "Hold strong!" the mother cried, clutching her son. But deep within her gut, a flicker of fear ignited. What if their unity wasn't enough? In the eye of the looming storm, a shadowy form approached a stranger, cloaked in a faint silver glow. Was it a sign of hope or another layer to this menacing game? As the darkness trembled and roared, the answer slipped further from their grasp. Would this figure be their saving grace or another puppet in the figure's cruel theater? What will they offer? And will it be salvation, or doom? The darkness churned around them, shadows playing tricks on the mind. The crowd stood firm, elbow to elbow, fear coursing like a wild river. The mother clutched her son, heart pounding, but courage began to blossom as they faced the cloaked figure. The eerie laughter faded, a tense silence settling. Suddenly, from the shadows, a bright light pierced the belly of the darkness. It grew and spread, illuminating the towering figure slowly. A new presence emerged, this one radiating warmth, courage, and defiance. Unfazed, the hooded figure narrowed its eyes at the newcomer. "And who do we have here?" "It's time to end this," the newcomer declared, voice steady and clear. The shocked whispers spread among the crowd, disbelief mixing with dawning hope. A spark, once planted, threatened to ignite. The figure, cloaked in shimmering silver, stepped closer. "This game ends here. Love conquers fear, and you," they gestured to the terrified crowd, "are stronger together than any darkness can comprehend." With each word, more light spilled into the room, pushing against the encroaching shadows. A tremor passed through the ground, the cloaked figure's sinister smirk faltered, revealing the panic beneath. "No. You won't take them from me." The mother squeezed her son tighter, emboldened. "We're not alone. Love is our greatest strength." She felt courage blossom in her chest, a fire igniting with each statement spoken around her. Others echoed her words, voices rising together. Together. They chanted, hands intertwined, forming a barricade against the fear. "We are together." The spectral figures paused, uncertainty creeping into their forms, as if shaken by the raw energy of human connection. The shadows recoiled, as if the light was an enemy they had never anticipated. "Your chains are weak," the silver-cloaked figure urged, standing with the crowd. "Love breaks through. Show them what you're made of." With a surge of collective determination, the crowd moved forward, undeterred, eyes blazing. They pushed against the darkness, fueling each other's resolve. The air thickened with power, pulsing, vibrating with authenticity. "No!" The hooded figure shrieked, rage drenching the room, but the power of the crowd surged like a tidal wave, drowning out the darkness's cries. Suddenly, the ground below erupted with compassion as their memories, hopes, and dreams surged into light. A radiant glow enveloped everyone, shimmering in hues of gold and white. The shadows twisted and shrieked, clawing at the air, desperate to escape the warmth. "Let us go!" they screamed. "You cannot win. This was never your game to begin with." The mother, standing firm, closed her eyes for a moment, allowing the light to fill her heart. She envisioned a future for her son, a future filled with laughter, resilience, and love. Memories of shared moments brightened her spirit. Tears welled, but these were tears of hope, not fear. With one bold push forward, the crowd's longing erupted, shattering the chains that bound them. A beam of light shot from their outstretched hands, piercing through the fake darkness, igniting the very essence of love at its core. The figure recoiled, eyes wide with disbelief and fury. "You think this can save you?" "It already has," the silver-clad figure replied, stepping forward defiantly. With a flick of their wrist, the collective energy pushed through, crashing like a wave into the figure, bursting like fireworks across the store. In one explosive moment, the darkness dissolved, imploding into nothingness. The specter fell backward, swallowed by their own shadows. As the room slowly filled with light, the silence hung for a brief moment, then erupted into joyous cheers, laughter flooding the atmosphere. The mother, overwhelmed with relief, knelt beside her son and embraced him tightly, feeling as if the weight of the world had lifted off her shoulders. "We did it!" he exclaimed, eyes bright with wonder. "We did!" she replied, a smile breaking through her tears. All around them, the crowd embraced one another, hearts intertwined, and just as the excitement peaked, they Felt the cool breeze from the outside world cut through the warmth. The doors creaked open. The emergency exit was unlocked at last, leading to freedom. The mother held her son's hand tight as they stepped into the light, the sun spilling warmth over their skin as other shoppers poured out behind them. They had fought against despair and won a victory stitched tightly with threads of humanity. The grocery store had transformed into a vessel of hope, and as they walked out, the CEO stood by the entrance, pride and relief flooding his expression. "Thanks to all of you," he declared, his voice rich with gratitude. "You've shown that love and courage can defy any darkness. This moment will forever change our company's policies." As the crowd broke into applause, the mother looked at her son, heart swelling with gratitude. He beamed up at her, and she knew, without a shred of doubt, that they could face anything together. This wasn't just an end, it was a beautiful beginning. So, here's where the story wraps up, friends. It's time to pack this emotional journey into a memory of triumph and strength. But don't go just yet. You need to subscribe now to never miss these incredible stories that hit right where it matters. And listen, smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so we can keep these amazing tales coming. Flood the comment section, share your reactions and theories about this ending. How did it make you feel? What did you think would happen? And finally, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is everything. Let us keep this community thriving.